Hey, my name's Jonathan, and I'm a veteran.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm a veteran.
My name is Chad, and I'm a veteran.
Hey, I'm Travis. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm a veteran.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with a Vet. I am Carolee. I am your host this evening. I have a wonderful veteran waiting in the wings today, and we will get with her here shortly. I do have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The first, if you haven't already gone to mindoverland.org, they are having their second annual Veterans Day weekend, and that is open to the public. It is the 8th of November through the 10th of November. That is in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. It is open to all, but you do need to register. Registration is free. But they do need to keep account of how many are coming. And there is plenty of space. So if you are a veteran supporter, a veteran, or, if you want to sponsor, you just want to see what it's all about, you can go again to mindoverland.org and register. So that again is in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Additionally, we have Vet Fest coming up here in Tennessee. That'll be in Franklin. That is on October 5th. And so it's Vet Fest and Hero Stroll. That is also free to the public if you're interested in supporting our veterans. They do have a lot of different booths, etc. So go and see them. You can go to Vet Fest, look them up there. I know that they're on Facebook as well. So you could just go Vet Fest 2024, and then they'll have an area for you to get tickets. So happy to be joining them on those, both of those, as a matter of fact. Also, if you haven't already, take a look, go out and get Frank DeMyth's book Of Vital Interest. Great book. It's available on Amazon. You can get that now. It's fiction in the sense that several things have been changed. But it is really good. And then also, if you haven't checked out, and we have Veteran Voice Radio. They have two radio stations online. Both of them are online. One is Ranger Rock. The other is Semper Fi Country. So it's all veteran artists. So go out and support those veteran artists at either one of those. So really excited for everybody to join today and hear a conversation, and feel free to put your comments in, and we'll make sure any questions that you have are answered by my guest today. So please help me welcome Nichole Jordan, and she is an Army veteran. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to have a conversation. I am so excited to have one with you. I know we've talked several times, and I'm glad our schedules finally, came together so that we could get this conversation. So, my first question I always ask every guest is, if you could, would you please tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Oh, wow. Oldest of 6 children. Grew up on a farm in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
Learned firefighting very quickly at an early age. Dad was a fire chief.
Nice.
And went into that field first before military.
Nice. And were you a studious child? How were you in school?
Straight A's,
Ah,
cheerleader, gymnast, very active, worked a part-time job the whole time through school.
yeah. Yeah. And, I think we've got a lot of similarities in that regard because I was not studious. So again, that's not similar, was not a cheerleader. I did choir, right. And sang. But yeah, worked part-time, had a lot of jobs. I think I had like 3 part-time jobs. I went to school full-time. So, because, you got to earn some money to get out. And you were a cheerleader, so you were a little bit physically fit.
Oh,
And
and
that's
being a gymnast, I did everything under the sun.
nice. How did you decide, I guess, first off, that you wanted to go into the military?
Well, after going through firefighting and during the weekends, I decided if I'm already doing service for my community, why not go one step closer to doing doing for my state. So I joined first to the National Guard in New Hampshire.
Okay.
I was with the 744th Transportation Company, and I found it very easy because I was already physically fit. So I was already doing a job, and this allowed me to do weekends and then the couple of weeks during the summer. But after my first 3 years, I wanted more. I wanted to do duty for my country. So that's when I went active duty Army.
Okay. Now, what did your parents think when you told them you wanted to go into the military?
That wasn't a conversation they had the right to.
Okay, so you were old enough at this time?
Oh yeah, I was what was I? I was 18 for academy. I was 20 when I entered the military for boot camp and all. There was no conversation with parents at all.
No. So after the fact, after you joined, was your mom surprised, shocked, like, oh my gosh, my baby is joined the military?
No, I didn't have those. I didn't have those
None at
type of
all.
parents.
Okay.
My dad, I'm sure my dad was proud in his own right, but that mother was, if anything, it's jealousy. The green monster comes out.
Ah,
So sharing anything with them was not an option. My biggest cheerleader, my dad's mom, my grandmother.
oh, that's awesome.
Grandma
Yeah.
Alice was my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. And when I got stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, that was when phone calls were not free.
Right.
Yeah, can we imagine that phones were not unlimited calling and
Right.
the charges to call home and how they add up weekly and monthly? I think I spent $500 a month talking to grandma.
Oh, I'm sure she loved it, though. I'm sure she absolutely loved it.
I would pay it 100 times over if she was still alive and I had that chance.
Right. Yes, exactly. I want to give a couple of shouts out. So Jim, Jason, and Russell, thank you guys very much for joining tonight. I appreciate the support. So you started in the National Guard. What was your MOS?
88 Mike 10, heavy equipment operator.
Okay. And you did that from learning equipment fighting fire, or?
I learned all my equipment with firefighting, so driving a large vehicle was no big deal. But when I got to the National Guard unit, it was 915. So give me a swivel behind my seat, make me have to learn how to pivot a trailer that's a lot longer than just one that you pull behind your pickup truck.
Right.
So nowadays it's right back to it. I drive a 32-foot Class A with a pickup truck towed behind, or I'm driving my pickup truck with a 40-foot camper behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a chance and I'll put it wherever it needs to go.
Nice. So when you joined, then, okay, let's go back a little bit. So because when you joined the National Guard, you still had to go through basic training.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about how that went for you.
Well, I was already in top shape being, like I said, a firefighter. My daily run was up at North University with the military cadets. So going out, running the trails, running the railroad tracks, staying in shape. When I went through basic training, PT to me was fun. Any of the hazing that you get when you go through boot camp,
Fun.
piece of cake. Nothing compared to growing up.
Right.
So for me, it was going to Girl Scout camp for several weeks on end. No big deal.
That's awesome. Can you think of any funny stories that you could tell about basic? Anything?
Yeah, I can
stands
think of Marine out of Georgia. His little smug thing for my birthday was happy 21st all over. 21 birthday cards all arrived on the same day for my birthday. Perfectly timed at boot camp.
Oh my gosh. Now, did you get slayed for that at all?
Oh, I had every envelope that I opened, and all day long was 21 sets of push-ups. Drop down and knock them out. I was like, okay, whatever, let's go.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. And so this was a friend of yours in Georgia?
It was my boyfriend at the time. And he's pretty high up in the chain for Marine Corps down there now. And I still think he gets a complete chuckle out of what he did.
Probably. Absolutely. Jason says, thank you for your service, ma'am. And then
thank you,
Jim
Jason.
Also says, thank you for your service, Nichole.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was my pleasure.
So tell me a little bit about, were you deployed?
No, I never left stateside.
Okay.
Everything that was going on when I was I was rear detachment. I made sure every piece of equipment that was being shipped out of a unit on my vehicle to be taken to the railhead was locked down tight. Everything was in it. They weren't missing stuff when it arrived.
Okay. And I guess, tell me a little bit, if you can, about the training that they give you for something like that. I mean, obviously you have not the equipment itself, because most of that you already had training on from being a firefighter. But as far as like strapping things down, I mean, did they go through, you got to do it this way and you got to...
Oh, absolutely. You don't want a piece of equipment to ever fall off. And I have yet to lose a piece of equipment in 35 years. I am the strapping queen. I will make sure that sucker is overstrapped, not understrapped.
Right. That's awesome. So do you have any stories about that?
I think it's funny. I can watch one of my fellow brothers strap something down, get going down the road, look in the rear view and go, yep, he forgot something. And it's bouncing down the highway. And I'm just like, we'll pull over and help him strap it. But,
yes.
you know.
And how is it? So your time doing this, how long did you do that for?
I did a total of 6.5 years between National Guard and active duty.
Okay. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it then?
I loved it. I was trying to make a career out of it, but when I got injured into my third reenlistment, I was 5 months into it. After that, that was the end of my career.
Oh, goodness. And how did that go for you as far as being injured? Did you sit in medical? Did you...
The injury happened 4th of July, 1995 in uniform at the barracks doing a job that the command said we had to do that day in order to get leave for 4th of July.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
There's concrete and steel with concrete and steel on top of me. There was no ambulances available on base, so they had to wait for off base to come on base.
How long did that take?
Over 40 minutes, because there was a country concert going on right across from the hospital, and they were contracted to not leave that site.
Wow.
So they took me to the hospital, told me it was a muscle strain, broke my neck, my shoulder, impinged. So I was partially paralyzed. I had no use of my head, neck, shoulder, right arm, or hand for 18 years. And 10 days later, being told it was a muscle strain, I was given general orders of honorable discharge and booted out with no medical.
How fast did that go through?
10 days.
It was just 10 days.
10 days.
That is crazy.
If I wanted medical, the words that came out of JAG and out of my command was, we'll see if you survive 6 months on this base waiting for medical, and we'll make sure it's dishonorable before you leave here. And being an honorable person, I left with honors, but I fought for 18 years to get my benefits. I ended up getting divorced, moving out of Texas with my 2 children to Nebraska. 6 months later, turned in 2.5 feet worth of medical evidence of 18 years and got my actual VA disability acknowledged for the first time.
Wow. That is just an insane story. And I am so very sorry that it took so long and that you had to go through that. So how are you doing physically today?
I have the body of a 98-year-old internally, but I give it up to God every morning that I'm still here. I'm still fighting the battle. I'm still fighting the VA. I'm still thriving to live. And because our VA system is falling apart, mental health is not there anymore in the state of Maine that I live in. I have created my own way of surviving and not giving up.
Well, sometimes that's all you can do, right? Is find your own way of getting through life. And so, okay, so you're paralyzed, your neck is paralyzed. What did they determine to be the cause? Like, I mean, as far as internally,
A muscle strain.
like that is
Yep, a muscle strain. Give her an x-ray, call it a muscle strain, kick her out, nothing else.
Okay. When you went to a civilian or the VA after, did you go immediately after to the VA once you got out?
I did not like what the active duty Army was telling me at Darnell Hospital. I left that hospital, immediately walked out and went across the bridge out of the South Creek Gate, and went to Killeen Metroplex Hospital in uniform, created a bill I was not legally allowed to be creating at a civilian hospital, unauthorized outside of the base. That won me my case.
Okay. So I'm still just in shock that all of that happened and you had no support from your unit. Russell says, stand strong, Nichole. I'm proud of you for never giving up. You rock.
God's strength.
And it's a matter of just pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, because a lot of times, we know people aren't going to be able to necessarily do it for us, right? I mean, they'll be there for moral support, but we can't do it.
Nobody understands what you're going through internally, mentally, physically, emotionally, even if they're on the outside to see it and they've never been in the military. They don't understand the parameters of how that can slide through, and then how it affects you when you get out. Like my PTSD, that was instantaneous.
Right.
The minute my injury happened, in seconds, my life was altered forever.
Right. And so now you're dealing still with the VA, you said.
Yes.
How is that going for you currently? Like, I mean, did they recognize things such as your PTSD and, the other injuries? And also, did the civilian places anywhere you went, and did they find something outside of just a muscle strain?
So what happened was I was married in Texas. And in the early 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, the healthcare systems in the civilian side was you have to go through X amount of physical therapy, whether it's painful or not. You got to go through X amount of prescriptions. You got to go through X amount of these different other parameters before you get approval for an MRI.
Yep, I remember that. I really do remember that, yes.
Yes. And so it took a total of 10 years at a civilian doctor for my husband, who was then out of the military. Finally, his insurance said, okay, fine, we'll approve you for an MRI. I went in for the MRI at 11 p.m. in Texas. Needless to say, the doctor called at 1 a.m. to inform me at 4:30 in the morning I was going in for massive spinal surgery. He gave me less than 4 hours notice. And he's like, I don't want you running around cleaning the house. Don't worry about things, but I need you there. He goes, please make everyone else touch the remote. Make them get up and do things. Don't you do anything else. Just lay on the couch and relax. I'm like, surgery in 4 hours. I haven't cleaned my house. I haven't prepared anything for the kids or the husband who's the biggest child that's going to be lost. I was like, the world just crashing down. You want me to lay on a couch? I'm not even going to rest until surgery.
And how long ago? So you have 4 hours till surgery?
I had 4 hours to go.
I mean, so 4 hours, right? So not so big of a deal. I mean, were you a night owl?
I could not sleep. So no matter how he pleaded with me to lay on that couch, I was laundry, meal prepping, writing out a quick handwritten will, letters to my kids in case I didn't make it through surgery, thinking ahead. And then, of course, you have to wake the husband up and tell him, hey, I'm going to surgery 4 hours. And he's like, it wasn't planned. I'm like, well, you don't get a shot at this. This is like going into labor. You ain't changing anything. We're going.
Right. Exactly. And so what did they find then with your spine?
Well, currently to this point, to this very day, my C2, which controls your breathing and everything, my C2 is over half out. So that's why I haven't ever been able to like hold down a regular job, because if anything hits me or I get in an auto accident, I'll literally be dead instantaneously. My 5 and 6, which would control my right arm and my hand and everything, was impinged up to my head with my neck tilted. And that at the accident time had impinged because that blew out and took the nerve right there and cramped it. So for 18 years, it didn't move. 6 and 7, the insurance company only said they would deal with the disc that was completely affected. 6 and 7 is half out and they wouldn't fix it. And it was right there. You had me wide open. You had a chance to fix it. So I still deal with massive nerve damage, literally from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet daily. I am in pain. And the VA at one point had me on 38 different medications, combating all the different things. And when I got hit with lung cancer, the doctor said, you will no longer be on any of these meds. So now I deal with the pain full force every day, non-medicated.
So lung cancer.
Yes.
On top of all of this.
Yeah, that just recent. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I am very sorry. How is the prognosis for that?
Within 3 weeks of finding lung cancer, and I went in for my shoulder to be sewn because I tore my left shoulder because it had been worn out after the right one was injured. The left one finally went in for surgery, and they're like, well, due to the fact that COVID is going around, if we take an image of your lungs and we do an MRI and it shows they're clear, we'll do surgery. Doctor comes back, stands 20 feet away from me and says, sorry, you got the big C. And I went, I got COVID? I'll be fine. No, you got cancer, ma'am. I got to send you upstairs. That's how I found out I had cancer.
What in the world? Oh my gosh, our medical system just makes...
I put it this way. God is only giving me what I can handle. And he's given me lots of mountains.
And that's fair. And I really appreciate you saying that. But it's more than that. It is ineptitude all the way around that you've had to deal with. So the VA, did they finally then recognize? I mean, do you have are you 100% disabled then through the VA?
No, they won't. No. And they fight every day to take my benefits away from me. Since surviving lung cancer, turn around in the last 4 years, my PCP at the VA has not given me my annual exams. She's done blood work. She'll just send me the results. But my appointments have become so sporadic in the last 4 years that when I went to see her this year, she had already said that she was quitting from working in the VA. Her notice was being after November 15th. 2 weeks later, when I found that out, she had already quit and was gone. And now I went to community care and I asked for a new PCP in the community so I can get better care. That will be next July or next September before I get seen for a PCP annual. And it's been 5 years.
It just boggles my mind, gets my blood pressure rising.
Yes.
I mean, you are just amazing to still have a head of, on your shoulders where you're, not just screaming and yelling at everybody, because between, the pain and, as I said, the ineptitude of people and lack of care that you're receiving, I don't know how you have managed to get this far.
And have wonderful 2 kids that are my go-to. My son is 30 and an Air Force veteran, finishing his college degree.
Awesome.
And he's here in Maine. My daughter's in Texas, 26. And I talk to both my kids every couple of days and turn around between talking to the kids, talking to my adoptive parents down in Texas. Dad's a Marine and a Reverend. Talking with them, lots of prayers. And when it gets to be too much, my favorite is an Advil PM, climb into bed and cry myself to sleep.
Yeah. But you shouldn't have to do that. Like, the VA should be following up on your neck injuries and your spinal injuries and such. They should. And especially, I can only assume that you go in and say, hey, I still have this pain, or I still have this pain, and what are you going to do about it?
At the rate of going to the VA and how bad and how horribly they've done me wrong, I don't step foot in that building if I don't have a reason to. When I first moved to Maine in 2011 or 2012, 6 months here, the female physician was like, hey, your spinal injury, we can make that pain go away. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen. Tell me. Well, if we take half your chest off and give you a boob job and a lift, that will take the weight off of your back. I'm like, I'm getting that age. Okay, fine. Let's try it. I'm up for anything. I'm always in pain. No, they left me wide open for 5 months. And the scar tissue is 1/2 inch thick, and it's a big W on my chest for Wonder Woman. And turn around, they forgot to take out half the non-dissolving stitches. That's the best the Boston VA and the Maine VA could do. And their answer to me today is, if it really bothers you that much, we can go back in and take that scar tissue off. You ain't touching me. I'm a very verbal veteran about the wrongdoings, that I will not go back in and let them do any surgery, because they're more likely to kill a verbal veteran than one that stays silent.
Oh my gosh. It just, my blood pressure, just thinking about what you've had to suffer with. And could you, and this is just a question, could you go to a different VA and just have things transferred outside of Maine?
I absolutely thought about that. And I was trying to do an honorable thing back June of this year. Mm-hmm. I went and did the U.S. Constitution ride for women veterans. I went out on Old Ironsides, and it was a really, really hot day. A bunch of people felt like matchsticks, being our seniors, sitting there on black paint and very hot and no breeze. And I stayed with the first lady that went down. That was a Marine, and tended to her, and then looked at the Marine that was working with me. I said, you can go finish helping the rest of them. I got this one. And we worked the ship quite effectively. And the female commander of Old Ironsides was telling me, I really appreciate you jumped in to help. And I was like, well, I'm the first one that I saw her eyes glaze over, and I saw her going down. So I caught her. But for me, I went to my grandfather's home, and he passed away as a World War II Navy veteran. And he had a double bloom pink rose that used to adorn the front of his property along the road. So I went back to that home the night before and I asked the new owners and I explained who I was and why I wanted these root balls of these roses. I want them for where I'm building my facility. I want these roses to be in the rose garden honoring the veterans of each war. And I want grandpas for World War II. And they said, well, they're over here. They're in poison ivy. I'm like, I'm not allergic to poison ivy. I've never been affected yet. Yeah, that was the first time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I ended up poison ivy with the leaves and everything there. I ended up with brown tail moth.
I don't know I know what that is.
Oh, brown tail moth is the spiny little caterpillars, all their little hairs that stand up on them and die.
Yes.
They get onto your skin like little J hooks.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, a lot of people, we were putting duct tape and pulling the barbs off because you can't see them.
Yeah.
Well, it takes weeks to get rid of them. And going through that, I went to a different VA. I had lobster one day. I didn't realize, being a Mainer, I was allergic to lobster. I happened to be in Vermont with another female veteran. And I said, I think we need to go to the VA. Yeah, EpiPenned already. We need to go. Got there and I told the lady at the ER what was going on, that I had already given myself one EpiPen. My throat was starting to close up. I was head to toe in hives and I've got the brown tail moth on top of it. She turned around, she walked back, said something to the doc. They came out. Well, being an old first responder, I walked into the room they're sending me into, took a nice look around. I went, gee, no door handle on the inside, no sink, a table and a chair. Nice rubber room. Why the hell am I in here? And she said, strip down and put this gown on. So I started stripping. I said, nice camera. And they're all chuckling out in the hallway, watching the camera. They got a nice show of me stripping down because I was in hives. They got a good giggle out of me. So the female vet that was with me went in, sat there, and she turned around. She goes, I can't believe they put you in here. I said, I know. There's 7 other rooms open, and they put me in here in humiliation. And if this doesn't set my PTSD off and my anxiety from the way I've always been treated, I said, I don't understand why I'm in here. Are you going to give me my bracelet for checking me in? No, ma'am, it can stay on the table outside of the door. And they left the door cracked 2 inches. And she comes back, no blood work, no nothing. Left me in there for over an hour. And, well, we thought you might be on drugs. I told you I was having an anaphylactic shock to lobster, and I'm in the hives. And you put me in here for the rubber room. So as I was leaving, I was walking right past the doctor who said to put me in that room. I turned right straight to his face. I said, I hope you got shits and giggles out of it, but you're a total ass. Mm-hmm. I said, there was no need to put me in there. I came in for anaphylactic shock and hives, and you put me in the rubber room, and you're sitting out here laughing your butt off. I said, you don't belong in this ER. You don't belong in this veterans hospital serving anyone. And I left. And I filed a complaint, and it got me nowhere. I do not trust VAs because they are not doing anyone a justice. My last time I had straight up amazing healthcare at a VA, I'll give them a shout out. Omaha, Nebraska, and Lincoln, Nebraska. That was my first VA and one of the best that I've come into in the country.
Wow. And
that was 2009, 2010.
Now, I was in the VA in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in, I don't know, probably 1st of June, thereabout, sometime in June, I think. And I was actually very surprised. They take mental health very, very seriously, but you kind of do have to be careful of how you say things when you're talking about mental health, because, they will want to keep you for 3 to 4 days or more, dependent.
7 days before a judge will release you.
Well, and it really does depend, because I went in with my oldest, and the doctor, the psychiatrist, they bring in a cart, right, with a tablet, and the doctor is on the tablet, and And, he's like, yeah, we want to keep you for a few days and, just for observation. And I'm like, well, how few is a few days? Oh, well, 3 or 4. And he basically had no choice, which was insane. So anyway, needless to say, though, he did get released the following morning.
Oh, he's lucky.
Well, it's a lot of, in fact, he had, well, obviously I have this channel, but so that was the first thing. But secondly, the nurse and the primary care physician both were advocating to the psychiatrist that they felt he was not a threat to himself or others. He just needed to set up some outpatient therapy kind of stuff, right? And start, because he hadn't had even his first appointment with the VA yet. So, and the psychiatrist, well, that didn't go over really well with my son. And then, so afterwards, he gets held and but he never got out of his seat. He never threatened anybody, but oh my gosh, it was very, very difficult. He was fuming mad. And so, he certainly was vocal. I go to leave after they take him against his will, obviously. I mean, he went. He didn't, they didn't have to touch him or any of that. But
a straight jacket.
Yeah, no, they didn't have to do any of that. So I walk out and I'm trying to figure out, okay, when can I visit? What are the hours? So on and so forth. So at the nurse's desk, right behind. So I never did see this psychiatrist's face. I heard the voice. And then my son had made comment that he was an older guy, gray hair, right? Well, I'm at the nurse's station getting ready to go. And on the back side of the nurse's station up along the wall, there's a doctor in scrubs. And then right beside is a doctor. You could tell because he's got the white coat on, gray hair. I didn't think anything of it till he turns his head and starts talking to the guy next to him. And it's him. He was literally right there. And yeah.
They're scared and paranoid, so they won't be in there to actually speak to him. They will only do screen time with somebody. They will not physically be in any room. So they can't really see your hands, your demeanor, unless they're far enough back. They're just making a judge. Like my doctor that I love that we had here in Maine quit 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And he called me up and he goes, I'm sorry, but looking at somebody's face and having to make a judgment call of earrings, hair, makeup. Are you in pain today, Nichole? You kind of look frazzled like you just got out of bed. I have to make a judgment call and that goes against you. I'm like, tell him I was all dolled up. Because no, they actually have a picture of you on screen. So it shows if you're frumpy or whatnot. And I'm like, I'm having a bad day, but I'm not going to harm anyone.
Right.
But it still goes against you.
I do know, as I said, though, here, this VA that was in Murfreesboro, it's extremely large. It takes up city blocks.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is very, very large. But I remember walking in and they had volunteers that would help point you in the direction. Every single person, short of that psychiatrist, was just amazing. The nurse, I like all of them. And the fact that they even tried to advocate for my son, and they'd never done that before. So, there are good people. It's just finding the right
far and few between.
Yeah. And that's the difficult thing, because different areas have different types of individuals.
Yeah. But I've made my own way of surviving through mental health. And I've always been one to constantly give back. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. It's how can I help somebody else? And right. By that helping, and by not always thinking about poor me or what I'm going through, I've been able to help my own mental health with the entire process of what we're doing now and what's keeping my mind occupied, other than oh God, my body hurts today. Do I really want to get out of bed?
Right.
No, force yourself out of bed. You've got to do X, Y, and Z today.
Right. So Jim has said go to a congressperson. Has that been anything that you've ever considered?
Oh, let's see. So Governor Bush then became President Bush, and the entire Congress, the entire House, every single one of them on their fax machines received the entire letter of everything that had happened to me, and I was looking for help. And, after burning out over 8,000 fax machines going across the country, hasn't gotten me diddly poo. Women veterans do not get the same benefits and same care that our fellow brothers get, plain and simple.
Wow.
And so, yes, I've already tried Congress. I've already tried, it was.
Okay, so you tried it back then. Have you considered it recently?
Well, I'm working with our senators and our congressional leaders here in Maine because I'm a past district commander and post commander for the American Legion here in Maine. And I was used as one of the veterans that stood with one of the senators when he was up for re-election. And in fact, this morning, his picture showed up on my Facebook page. Hey, remember this? And I was like, I just spoke about that yesterday. Yeah, there it is. And that was, we were making sure any veteran or young adult that was wanting to go to the academies had to apply and go through their state, be vetted, interviewed, and then we helped make the decisions. And I was part of that program.
Mm-hmm.
So I know everyone in my state, but it's still right now a losing battle.
And it just frustrates me. I wish that there were more individuals, especially in higher positions, that would truly take an interest in our veterans. They say they do, and I'm sure there are some, right? But I mean, it's one thing to say it; it's another thing to act on it, right?
Right.
How are you taking that interest into our veterans? And I think it's so important that they really need to listen to what is being said. And I think that's part of why I think it's great that you agreed to come on the show today and have that conversation, because stories like this are so important to get out there to the masses and have other people hear them, relate to them, understand that you are still standing after every single thing that has been thrown at you. And you are definitely a fighter. I'm just amazed. So a couple of shout outs. So Jova Q, welcome. Christine White, welcome. Welcome to here, Ivan. Thanks for joining. So, okay. And I know you've been waiting because you've been hinting at this a few times. So tell me a little bit about how it is that you have managed to keep your sanity. When did this begin? Yes.
Okay. So when I was a post commander for Mighty 202 Topsom, Maine, I was their American Legion commander. I had already done one glamping trip with a bunch of women veterans from both Maine and New Hampshire.
And glamping meaning?
Fancy camping, but not on the ground because I turned to a piece of petrified wood and can't get up.
Okay.
I like my luxurious camping where it's actual bed.
There you go. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. Right?
So after the first retreat that I put on, the ladies were like, I think you're on to something and we really need more of these. And I went, it was my honor with my connections I knew to make this happen. You know what? COVID's now rampant. I just found out I had lung cancer, and that was 5 years ago, June, this past June. And I'm right now, as far as I know, lung cancer free.
Congratulations.
Yep. Still fighting, still
right.
Making sure the battle's not over. And so I started a nonprofit called Women Veterans Glamping.
Oh my gosh.
I started a 501c3 nonprofit here in Maine, and I bring women veterans from across America to Maine for free retreats. And I fundraise year round to cover their food, lodging, and activities. The only part that I've learned in the hardship of these last 5 years, if they are not invested in their own airfare travel, they would cancel in a heartbeat, and the airlines would give them the airfare to use at a later time.
Right.
So the women that have been coming for the last 5 years have all invested in their own airfare. No problems with that at all with these ladies. They come anywhere from 3 to 7 days, and they leave with a bunch of new female best friends. They leave with not knowing that they've done about 80,000 plus steps.
Wow.
Every step in the Maine woods helps heal their soul in little increments at a time. And the fact that they can come reconnect with the women veterans with the bond of what we all went through or what we haven't gone through, support one another. We've helped 5 women veterans in 5 years not be a 22 in the books by committing suicide.
Congratulations.
One of them would have been phenomenal. 5, I'm all about it, and I'm not going to change a thing.
Right. So I went ahead and posted that out there. So if we have any female veterans, this one is for you. So you can go out to womenveteransglamping.org. Now, what is it to register? So obviously they pay for their own airfare and
they pay for their airfare. So the best thing is our last retreat, our 5-year bash is happening in Wells Beach, Maine at the end of October. Oh, Halloween has always been our first one, and it'll be our last one for this year. And so turn around, Halloween costumes, we have games and activities. There's an Oktoberfest going on down the street. The one good thing we are proud of, no alcohol, no pot, no drugs, no firearms. Good old-fashioned fun. And these ladies, when they sign up, know those are the 4 no-nos. And for the women that tell me I can't come, I'm going to tell you straight up, and I'm alcoholic. I say, you know what? I'm proud of you. You were honest to the core to me. I have more respect for you than you coming and hiding it and trying to leave to go get a drink or smuggle it in.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have more respect for them. So in the 5 years, we've helped over 275 women reconnect from all across America here in Maine. I take both we have a lot of dual families.
Christine White wants to go.
Get on the website and apply. Put all your paperwork in now, because January 5th every year I open up next year's 2 retreats.
There you go, Christine. Get on that ball. You're going to have a heck of a time.
Yes. So last year in August, we thought we'd never, ever, ever be able to do this. We bought our own 15 acres of land last August. I was there yesterday because I did a women's luncheon really close to the land. We had 38 women veterans come in, and I served them lunch. We had guest speakers and everything, and it was phenomenal. And so turn around, I went out to the land, took pictures, showed the clearing area because we broke ground last October. We're fundraising like the Dickens to be able to build the facility.
That's amazing. And if you don't mind, how much have you been able to raise?
Well, nothing like our male veterans. I have to say, we are nowhere near our fellow.
Well, the number of female veterans versus male veterans to begin with is a lot less.
But that doesn't matter. The fact that the funding doesn't come equally to what our brothers' retreats get. Men, yes, there's 28 million male veterans. There are over 2 million women veterans.
Right.
But we have to remember our women are raising their children, going to school, working. For them to take time out to come to something that we put on, they have to look to the community or family or friends to watch their children.
And that's a really fair statement, I think, because it's a lot easier, I think, for males, to
get up and go because they don't have to worry about the family.
Right. Interesting. And I've never thought about that, I guess, in terms of a veteran event. So, yeah.
So for us, our funding comes from, if it's small donations from the public, we don't have corporate sponsors. Our biggest charity comes from Moose Lodge out of Williamsburg, Virginia, 757. Got to give my home site a shout out. They do $10,000 a year.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
$10,000 a year. And then we had a Vietnam veteran pass away, and his son is a veteran. And with everyone joining together, we were able to purchase our land outright. We do more with under $38,000 a year in donations. I can put on 4 week-long retreats and the food with that much money.
Wow. That's incredible.
I'm 10 miles away from Travis Mills, and he gets millions, and he can't put on a retreat for that little. And I don't even have a facility. I rent other facilities out to use.
Yes.
But as women, we are frugal. We know how to do things. And our healing at the retreats is lots of arts and crafts, lots of different painting, hikes, kayaking. I take both men and women veterans deep sea fishing, baseball games together that the family can go do these things. And
that was a question. If you have an event where families are encouraged to come as well.
Yes. So the families are encouraged for the baseball games. We'll have different events throughout the year. We're doing free haircuts for women vets during the summer months.
Oh, that's
coffee
amazing.
Socials. And that coffee social includes mother and child. If you're a female vet, you don't need a babysitter because you can't come because you don't have anyone to watch the kids.
Right.
No, we incorporate all of it, the well-rounded part of the family.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And you do this all on a very limited budget. So
the best way to do it is 100% volunteer board, 100% all veterans. We have male veterans on our board. They come to fundraisers and help us with things. They may help us set up if we have really heavy stuff. Then we say, see ya, and they leave, and then we'll come back later. But there is no male at a retreat. And for us, we get a lot of respect for that because we want the women to open up and share.
Right.
If their husband or their child is there, they're not going to be able to speak about their military service and what might have happened. Right. No healing will happen because she's too busy tending to the family.
Right.
You give her downtime where if she wants a nap and she doesn't want to go down to the beach to swim with a bunch of them, or she doesn't want to paint, go take a nap. Because if that's what you need and that is your downtime, you want to read a book quietly in the cabin, go for it. You need a hammock with binoculars to go lakeside? Here you go. We're all about making sure she can rejuvenate, relax, go home, and give it her best effort going forward.
Christine wants to know what downtime is.
Anytime that you want. We notice there's so many other nonprofits out there that do retreats. Mm-hmm. They have it every 2 hours. You're on a bus, you're going here, you're doing this. You have to participate. No. If you need downtime, I had one lady just come to last month's retreat and she goes, I think I'm coming down with a cold. Well, that was Thursday night. Friday, she stayed in her cabin for 6 hours sleeping. She woke up Saturday morning, ate breakfast, and didn't come back until after dinner. And then when she showed up on Sunday, she goes, I think I'm going to go home today. I'm not feeling the greatest. And I went, well, you're not leaving. It's your 40th birthday. And we have pumpkin cheesecake. We came out with a big 40th on the candle.
Aww.
And we celebrated her birthday before she left.
That's awesome.
We go out of our way because, those little acts of kindness could change somebody's worst day.
Yeah.
And that might be the change that keeps somebody from taking their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what you do is just absolutely amazing. And so again, you are getting in January is when you're signing up for 2025.
Yes. January 5th at midnight. The 2 weeks that we're going to do, there are 1 week long retreats. There'll be a down day to reset, and then the next one will happen. We're combining the 2 weeks so we don't have to reset back up. We're only going to do those 2 next year because we are determined to finish clearing and setting up to be able to fundraise like the Dickens to put those facilities in.
And so you'll have at some point soon, you'll have some permanent Tents.
Yes. So all our funds that we raise, instead of paying all these other facilities for their use,
Yeah.
we will be able to do so much more with our own facility and be able to do at least something 1 week every single month, because we want to be all 4 seasons. We love ice fishing. We love being out there. But I have to say this, if you guys are around the country, be looking out for a 32-foot Class A that says "She served, honor her."
Yes,
It's got all the
I have
military
seen. Oh, my
branches.
glasses are fogging up. I don't know if you can see that, but oh, look at that.
If you see that rolling down the road, that is a driver's side of my truck and of the bus. So right after Veterans Day, I leave Maine. I'll be on the road nationwide speaking, and I won't be back until about April 15th in Maine. And then I'm full-fledged at what I'm doing. So I travel with
That's
the dog,
awesome.
the cat, and hit the road. And I'm
And now
flying
you
out in
have-
October to speak in Columbus, Ohio. So for me, I'm always out there.
I think that's amazing. Now you also have a service dog.
Yes,
correct?
I do. Miss Willow Grace is laying down right here.
Aw. And what breed is she?
She's a 100-pound black lab.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So Christine says you need to come to Tennessee.
Absolutely. I was there. You have a wonderful, I think she's 87-year-old lady down in Waynesboro. I just happen to, I don't care where I am in the country. I'll bump into any church. I bumped in, I looked at her collar. I said, "Thank you for your service." She goes, "Oh, how do you know it's mine?" I said, "Once a Marine, always a Marine. You ain't just wearing that." And she turned around and she goes, "Well, thank you for noticing." I said, "Put her there, sister." We formed a wonderful relationship. And last Thanksgiving, I happened to be in Northern Alabama. I called her up and said, "What are you doing tomorrow for Thanksgiving?" She goes, "Sitting home by myself." I said, "I'll be there at 8 a.m.
Aww.
I drove 3.5 hours up, brought her Thanksgiving meal, sat with her all day long, and then drove back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're doing some great work, Nichole, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. Obviously, veterans are near and dear to my heart. I have 2 veteran sons now, and everything you've gone through is just amazing. That you just hadn't thrown in the towel. I am so proud of you, and just I'm here for you if ever you need to talk, ever want to have that conversation. So, outside of the nonprofit that you have you looked into any other resources for yourself or for anybody else?
Oh,
in
for
Maine?
myself, I have a plethora of them. I have books of phone numbers, and whenever someone says they're from a certain state and they want me to look up something or they don't know who to connect with, I have all 50 states in a 3-ring binder. I have all the resources for the different VAs, different mental health, different ways of connecting with other programs. I am very well connected. And for me, I found my therapy is service to others above self.
Right.
That was my 53rd birthday this year. I worked for another nonprofit in the morning and then took the afternoon, and I took 5 women veterans sailing off the coast to Maine.
Oh, wow.
For the afternoon, but it was still my birthday. And then we all went and had dinner together, but service to others above self. And that to me is my healing point that keeps me grounded and going every single day.
I think that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. If anybody has any questions for Nichole, go ahead and get those put in the chats for me, please. And we will get her to answer those. So you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like that box of chocolates, remember?
Oh, I always love questions.
I know. And where are you anticipating to be then in the next 5 years with your nonprofit?
5 years.
Where do you want to see yourself?
Well, considering we have the 15 plus acres in Chesterville, Maine, just south of Farmington, Maine, I'm hoping in the next 5 years, those buildings are 4 to 5 years old. I'm hoping that maybe we won't have to tell the women veterans they have to pay for their own airfare, and we would be able to accommodate and have enough residual income coming in for that. maybe I wouldn't have to travel around driving the RV with the cat and the dog for months
Right.
on end during the winter. But it also keeps me from getting really sick by being in the winter weather up here. But I have survived COVID 2 Januaries in a row being in the South. So this year I am being very, very cautious.
Good. That's a good thing. Let's see. So we're still waiting to see if anybody's got
questions.
Yeah, we're waiting to see if anybody's got
Oh,
some.
come on, guys. I couldn't have answered everything. You have to have something for me. I mean, I know I'm good, but please.
Right? Okay. So you've been all over the country.
Yes.
And what's your favorite state that you've been to?
Oh, my favorite state. I'd have to say Texas. Give me a good old two-step and hanging out with family. And, you know, I like being down there. I can eat brisket, but when I leave Texas, I generally won't eat brisket again.
Yeah. Yeah. Until you go back and visit. Yes. Yeah. We had some not so great brisket not long ago.
Yeah. I won't eat brisket in Maine, not unless I cook it. So
yeah. Yeah. And let's see, I did have another question now, and I was trying to think of what it went in. Just, we get older and you lose it.
Brain fog. The cloud came with the fog and left with it.
Oh my gosh, isn't that terrible? Okay, so we talked about your nonprofit. We talked about where you want to see it go, and Jim does. Let's see. Russell does say he has to leave, and he said, "God bless each and everyone here. See you next week." Nichole, may God bless each step you take.
Thank you.
Jim said, "You're helping others while helping yourself." Bravo.
Absolutely.
And let's see. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. Oh wait, that is a comment, not a question.
So, no, my thing is I had the chance that with my dad being a Marine, my adopted parents in Texas, they didn't adopt me until I was 29, a few years after my
this is so crazy. So I was adopted at age 27.
Yeah, this was a really cute adoption. I'm in Sunday school teaching 3-year-olds. My son is maybe 2.5. And this short little cute lady walks up and she goes, "I just love how your son behaves." And I'm like, "Well, he better behave. He's from a military family. We don't put up with no junk." And she goes, "He's just so lovely." And she goes, "I wish I had a daughter." And I said, "Well, I'm up for adoption." And she turned around. She goes, "What would that inquire?" I said, "We're in the house of the Lord, right? All he's got to do is agree with it with you and Dad, and we're fine." She walked back to Dad, taking off his vestry robes, and said, "Hey, Dad, can we adopt Nichole and her son?" "Well, what does that entail?" Mom told her. "Absolutely." I said, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad."
I legally was adopted in a court of law at age 27.
Nope. Ours was just verbal.
But still, that's awesome. That's amazing. Because we adopted our oldest child, and he was 25 in a court of law. He was 25. So it's one of those that my view on it is that everybody should feel like they are loved and part of a family. And
I hear more that I'm loved by my adopted family. I've heard my birth father tell me he's loved me many times in my entire life. And I'm 53 now, so I'll say it. I have never heard my birth mother ever say she's loved me. The jealous green monster is there, and she's destructive and just not one you want involved in things. And when I started this nonprofit, the jealousy rampant came out tenfold, and I went, "Thank you," and walked away. And it's been the best 5 years without it.
Yeah. And sometimes, just walking away from negativity and things that just don't align with your values is sometimes the best medicine for you in helping you heal.
It is. Because
toxicity in your life just does not help healing for PTSD, for any mental health, and getting to know who you are. You can't do that when you have somebody negative in your life, because you're constantly being pulled in that direction. And so when you can find positive people in your life, those are the ones you want to stick to.
Keep them, embrace them, and love them, because
Yes.
you know what? You never know what day you're going to lose them on. And I can't wait to get back down to Texas early next year
Yes.
and be able to see them again and spend as much time as I can before I hit other states. But I think I did 18 states last year. I
Wow.
think this year I have 23 states I'm doing. So,
And do you already have places that you set up to speak at, or?
I do as I get closer to November, because I'm like trying to end the year here. I still have one more retreat here. I still have this coming week, I'm going to New Hampshire, and I'm over there not only speaking, but I have 2 different fundraisers. And then there's a craft fair, and we have swag, is what we call it: earrings, jewelry, patriotic stuff for women veterans. And so we have a pop-up swag shop that we have, and we let the veterans of New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts know we're coming. And I
That's
told them I
awesome.
look forward to seeing every single one of them while I'm out there.
That is awesome. Well, we will absolutely be on the lookout. And, when you have anything here near this area, you be sure to let me know, and I will be sure to put it out there,
Absolutely.
because I think, as you know, Christine, she is a Navy veteran, and I know she would love to be able to go, especially if it's something close. And, she says she actually has an extra bed if you ever need it.
Oh, sweet. And if she applies, she needs to let me know if she's ever received her Quilt of Valor, because we draw names for all the women that actually show up. The night before, we draw names, and we'll draw 3 names. And if that woman says she'll accept her Quilt of Valor, the next morning, either lakeside or oceanside, we wrap them with their Quilt of Valor in a ceremony.
Oh, that is so neat. That
Go
is
the mile, go that extra step, go that extra mile.
Yes, yes. Women need to feel, women veterans need to feel as appreciated as male veterans. And
we don't wear the swag that says what ship we were on, what branch of service we were on. We kind of like to have the simple clothes. We don't have to always say where we are. I always have on a shirt that has the dragonfly on it, says Women Veterans Glamping. I will go places and they're like, "Can I see your ID?" Gee, my shirt says United States Army vet, and that I'm a woman veteran. And they're like, "Well, you could have gotten that at Goodwill." You need a thumping. That is the first thing that comes out of my mouth. Do you want my foot somewhere? And I get that. You go to a state park, they're like, "Is this your husband's truck?" Nope. Last I knew, I pay the bill on it, the insurance, and it's mine. Those are my plates. Well, ma'am, can we see your ID? It's really insulting all the time. So we have different states, and it says woman vet. I tell them, put it in the upper left-hand corner of your driver's window, roll it down so it stays above it. And if somebody's going to be a redheaded stepchild and ask you, "Are you the veteran? Can you read?" Yes, I am. So yeah, the women got a kick out of that yesterday, because I made sure they all had a decal and they went home with it to do that.
Yeah. It's amazing too that that you do that for them, and everything that you have done, and for serving and sacrificing your life literally in so many different ways.
Well, God had a plan, and he put me on that path, and he gave me the strength not to be the one to take my life and cheat myself out of something. Not only that, but how would that affect my children?
That's exactly right.
And then how is it going to affect the 150 or more people that knew me?
Yes.
And someone's going to say, "What did I not do? Did I not call her? Did I not talk to her?" Heck, before I started this, I lived off grid for 3 years in a cabin that I had built between me and my son while he was in college. I didn't associate with anyone. I sought out the American Legion to be able to reconnect with my fellow brothers. And that's how I got more involved in things for veterans, because I was left and not cared.
Right.
So for me, isolation was great for 3 years. It helped me internally start healing. But then I had to reach out to take that next step to get reconnected with the veterans in my state. And that's where I really flourished.
Wow, that's wonderful. Now, do you go to any or part of any VFWs at all? No, I guess you wouldn't, because you're not
I go to VFWs and speak on
Right.
behalf of Women Veterans Glamping, but I can't be part of them because I never served outside of the United States.
Now, did you have
Sad
any
part is-
family that was in foreign wars, like that you could
My
prove?
grandfather was on a naval ship during World War II.
And if you can prove that, right,
Oh,
have
absolutely.
documentation, then that would be,
I could be auxiliary for
Yes.
VFW.
yes,
But
a member
what
at
I'm trying to
large
do
auxiliary.
Yeah, but it does me no justice for my service. That's just me going in and being an auxiliary.
Right. Christine says we should have a big Southern yard sale. That always brings in money down here. That is no joke.
Absolutely. You know what? Come help me clean my mother's house out in Texas. I think she's got 3 storage units and about 4 of them Dad would love clear.
Oh my
I
gosh.
need help to take it out.
That's funny. Yeah, we what is that? Wait, she says my home base was Guam. Okay.
Guam.
Yeah. So I know that, yeah, so you do have to be, I mean, you can have a family member that was, in a foreign war, but you do have to prove that
Right.
when you go through the application. And yes, it is for the auxiliary.
Right.
You can just be a member at large versus set to any specific VFW. And because my great grandfather was General Torney. He was a I can't remember if it was a 3 or 4-star general. And then my great grandfather was General Ord from, you've heard of Fort Ord?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, but trying to track that back, right? I mean, you're talking, yeah, it's just hard to find that documentation to be able to.
I don't mind not being part of the VFW, but I have to remind everybody, the American Legion, the VFW, we're all dying breeds. The younger generation has no inclination, unless they're from a military family and that was part of their livelihood to go to as a family.
Mm-hmm.
They are not joining. They are more interested in raising their young families, their children doing sports. They're not going to join the American Legion until after their kids are done with sports, done with high school, and possibly after college. These people are so family orientated that they're not searching out a veterans organization until their kids are gone and they're empty nesters.
Interestingly enough, here, the one VFW that I spoke at, they actually made like all state for their numbers. And
that's awesome.
Yes.
But it's different everywhere. It depends on how big of a population that actually served overseas for that area. Maine doesn't have a whole lot of them.
Yes. And in addition to that, it's a matter of what they do for the community, right? How do they, help out with the community? And they do things on a regular basis to help the community, and a lot of different fundraisers and ruck marches and things of that nature. But so our oldest Marine was in Operation Enduring Freedom. And so he had been over in Afghanistan. So because he was in a foreign war, we then could become auxiliary members. And so it was just a matter of his DD 214 to put in there as proof of, so, and then my middle child, youngest Marine, is looking then to actually join the VFW as well as an auxiliary member because of that. So both of my Marines now are veterans. So pretty excited about that for them. And I'm just thrilled to death. I don't see any questions for you out there. I know Jason is talking about at some point when we can afford it about donating to your 501c3, and he appreciates your looking out for your sisters. So, and as I said, anytime you want me to put something out there for the masses, I'm happy to do that for you. So please be sure to keep me updated, and I'll make sure to keep everybody around that, on this channel
Yeah.
posted of what's happening. So
Keep watching us on Facebook, Instagram, our website.
yeah.
We're constantly adding new things. We're still adding the photos from last month's retreat. They gave me a challenge. We normally do a lot of fun activities. They gave me a challenge. Make something take a couple of hours, make them work in teams. Yeah, you gave me enough time to come up with the things. I gave them a scavenger hunt. Took a couple hours. And they had to do photos. They had to have proof of things. And one of them was what happens at the campground stays at the campground. So I had 4 little heads peering out between the door casing of a latrine. And I'm like, I don't even want to know why 4 of your heads are bobbing out the door stacked like
What happens there stays there.
Yep. One of the girls goes, I'm going to take it for the team. I said, best fish ever caught photo. She runs down right next to the lake on the sand beach, lays out and goes, I'm a beached whale. And the other girl grabs her foot and starts pulling her down. Got photo proof of it. So there was bonus points if they involved the campground staff. There was bonus points if they involved the kids into the veterans scavenger hunt. We had one male that was so proud, and he's an Air Force veteran himself. He turned around, he goes, I've got a pontoon boat. I'm taking you ladies out. And I said, well, you're only 5 or 6. He goes, I'll make multiple trips in a day. So it took an hour for each trip, but he did 3 a day.
Oh, wow.
So each retreat we hold there, he constantly wants to take everyone out. Last of the season, he goes, that's it. I don't care if it says woman veteran on it. I'm going to wear one of your t-shirts. So he's strutting down, and I pulled up, and I'm like, well, who's this strapping young, handsome lad wearing this shirt? Where'd you get that thing? His wife turns around and goes, doesn't he wear that so nicely? And I said, with the biggest smile on, yes.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
I'm just thrilled to death for you and what you have accomplished to date, and what I'm looking forward to seeing what you're able to accomplish in the near future. I think it's amazing. So we'll definitely have to. Posted. Yeah, please keep us posted. So, all right. Well, I'm going to ask this question. Be honest.
Okay.
But well, not so much as a question as a comment. So if you could, for those in the chats, as well as who will be watching this wherever later, what words of wisdom do you have for men and women, especially because we have a woman guest, veteran guest, so for them regarding joining the military?
I would say do your research on what type of job you really want. Really fight for the job that you want. Don't be placed into something that you are not going to be happy.
Put it in writing.
Yeah. Look at the different branches, see what they're offering, really fight for the type of job you want. If you're not ready for it, by ASVAB, study your little butt off. Make sure you get that on the ASVAB that shows you'd be capable of doing that job, because that's how you're going to get placed. Be physically fit. Already be preparing before you go to boot camp. Don't be the sluggish one couched to run 5K in 2 days.
And a lot of different branches actually do have some kind of
preliminary
PT, physical training that you can do
prior to.
Right, yes, yep. Prior to actually going to basic or boot camp. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just research stuff. Know what you're getting in for. Make sure you fight to get that GI Bill or whatever they change the name of it. They keep changing the names. Make sure you fight to get your college benefits. Don't enter without getting them. Don't get sideswiped by that. I did not have VA benefits or GI Bill benefits after my 6.5 years, and only because of my VA injury did I get VA benefits. And after 2 years, they said even though as a straight A college student, I wouldn't be able to continue later in life doing anything that would make a difference with my injuries. So they wouldn't let me get my bachelor's degree. So my children use my benefits. So I was able to pass them on. But little did we know what I would go on to create and use the little of the degree I did get. But don't take no. Keep fighting for your rights. Keep fighting for everything that we should not take for granted as an American.
Right.
Stand strong for your country and your values. Just keep going forward and do the best you can. And for the women, I know we are outnumbered 1,000,000 times over. Stay strong. She served. Honor her.
Those are wonderful words. And I want to thank you again, Nichole, for joining me today for a conversation. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here. And I look forward, as I said, to see what you're able to accomplish in the near future. If you will, go ahead and hang tight for me. I think we're about ready to wrap this up. So everybody, I'm not sure about next Sunday yet. I don't have a guest in place, but please kind of keep an eye out. If I don't have a show, I'll put it out there in the community notes so that you can know. And otherwise, you'll see it pop up about a half hour prior to the show. So I wishing everybody a wonderful week, and fingers crossed we can get somebody scheduled for the 29th. So everybody, please, please, please have a very wonderful remainder of the night, and we'll see you again shortly.